Hi everybody and welcome again to Ada's Asian Kitchen. If you've been following the shows, then thank you very much and I hope you've subscribed. If you haven't, just hit the subscribe button and let's keep this train rolling. Today I am going to make the delicious Mara Yad Sai, which is basically bitter melon with pork stuffed inside. So keep watching, you'll see how I make this, and trust me, you're going to want to try this one yourself because it's absolutely delicious. Well, I've been down to the market, I've got all the ingredients and it's set out here in front of me, so let's have a look what we've got. Okay, so today we're making Mara Yad Sai, and this here, this great big thing, is called a bitter melon, which in Thai is called Mala. Okay, so and to make the rest of this ingredients together, we have got celery, spring onion, some ground pork, some sugar, black pepper, white pepper, coriander root, garlic, seasoning powder, some chicken stock cube, some glass noodles, some shiitake mushrooms, soya sauce, salt, and finally oyster sauce. So we're going to put all this together and we're going to have an absolutely delicious Mara Yad Sai. Okay, let's get cooking. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut the mala. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my salt, and the secret is to make the bitter melon less bitter. It's still going to be bitter, but it'll be less bitter, is just sprinkle the salt into the water, ready for putting in the mala. Now what I'm going to do with this is, as you can see, it's quite a big one this is, so I'm just going to cut the end off of each side because we don't need that, and then I'm going to cut this into around 5 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is, now you'll have probably seen one of these spoons quite often. You see them in a lot of Thai restaurants where they're eating soup and they're quite sharp on the edge. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this spoon and I'm just going to push it into the mala. And I'm going to just take all the insides out. See? Okay, so you can see that my bitter melon is hollowed out now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it straight into the water. And I'm just going to give that bitter salt a little bit of a stir around. And then I'm going to do the same with the other pieces. Okay, so as you can see, they've all been hollowed out, and now I'm just going to put them all into the water. Okay, so the next job is we take the coriander root, and I'm just going to cut this up into small pieces. And put that into my mortar and pestle. Okay, now I'm going to add some black pepper and some white pepper and some garlic. And now I'm going to crush this up into a lovely paste. Okay, so that's all of that lovely crushed into a paste now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a bowl, but I'm going to use half of this for the soup and I'm going to use half of it to mix in with the pork. Okay, so you can see we've got the lovely paste there. Okay, so I've got a little mixing bowl here and I'm going to take my pork and I'm just going to pop that into the bowl, and I'm going to take around about 2/3 of the paste that I just made, and I'm just going to pop that in there with pork, and basically just give it a good old mix in. And while I'm mixing it, I'm going to add my oyster sauce and my soy sauce and just about 1 spoon of the sugar. Okay, I'm just going to get that all mixed in nicely. Now, if you ever speak to a Thai person, they'll tell you that if you're coming down with a bit of a fever, or if you've got a bit of a cold and you're feeling a bit under the weather, this is probably one of the best dishes that they believe will cure you. It's supposed to have magical healing powers. So here in Pattaya, we've had quite a lot of rain this past week. Hasn't made me feel ill, but if I was to offer this to a Thai person that was feeling a bit under the weather, they probably love me forever. Okay, and now what I need to do is I'm going to add in my glass noodles, and again just get it all mixed in. Okay, so I've got that all mixed up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this in the fridge for about 10 minutes. That'll make it all firm up, and basically it'll be sticking together a lot easier when I go to put it into the Melon. And while I've got that in the fridge, I'm going to make a start on the soup. Okay, so I got a pan of water here that I'm going to use for the soup. There's around about 1.5 litres of water in there. I'm just bringing that to the boil, so just as it's coming to the boil, I'm going to pop in the paste that I made that was left over from the rest of it. I'm going to put in some more sugar, and here I've got a stock cube. Now ordinarily when I make this I would use chicken and boil the chicken bones to get the stock, but today I'm just going to use a stock cube. So give that a stir around, and then I have some seasoning powder, so I'm just going to pop that in as well. And now I'm going to take the shiitake mushrooms and just pop them into soup. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the salt water out of here. I'm just going to give them a little rinse, get the salt off them, and then take the water out, give it a good shake, and now we're ready to put in the filling. Okay, so when it comes to filling these in, all we do is pop it into the palm of your hand, take a spoon and just pop the filling in. Get it in as much as you can. Push it in from the sides with your thumb and give it a good push in. You don't want any of this coming out. And then turn it over and do the same from the other side. Okay, so that's as much as I can get in there. So that's the first one done. And now take the second one. Right, it's probably easier if I just use my finger and just push it in. Get as much of it as you possibly can in there. Again, until you feel it pushing through the other side. Okay, and once it's coming out the other side, push it back in again. Okay, so we've got a little bit of this left over, so we'll probably make some more of these later. But as you can see now, I have my bitter melon, and it's filled nicely to the top with the pork stuffing. Okay, so as you can see, I've still got this on a medium heat, so I'm not going to turn this up. I don't want it to boil rapidly because I don't want the bitter melon to break up. So all I'm going to do with these is just around the mushrooms, I'm just going to pop them in one at a time. Make sure I get them in there. And I don't want them to be sat on the mushrooms, so I'm just going to pull this to one side. And if you can, you want them to be facing up. Okay, so now I'm just going to leave that, and then we'll come back to it when it's ready. Okay, so this has been boiling away for 30 minutes now, so it's not a 2-minute job. To get this nice and tender and make sure it's cooked perfectly, you want to leave it for about 30 minutes. Now I'm just going to put in some celery leaves and some spring onion. I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm just going to stir this and very gently make sure that the spring onion goes under. I don't want to disturb it too much because I don't want to break the mala. So what I'm going to do now, just very gently, one at a time. There you can see, that looks cooked absolutely perfectly. You see, now because the pork has swollen up a little bit, it's coming out of both sides. Okay, so that smells absolutely delicious. You've seen it, you've seen the presentation, you've seen how I've made it, and you guessed it, it's now time to give it a try. So first of all, I'm going to try some of the soup. Oh wow, that's really, really nice. And it's a little bit spicy as well, but not too spicy. Okay, so that's the soup tried, and now I'm gonna try some of the bitter melon with pork. That really is delicious. I'm gonna enjoy this. Well, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.